Thank you.
Dr. Katie Kangas.
Jackie and I were introduced to LifeVantage almost simultaneously, but Jackie's my direct sponsor, and as she said, she's an acupuncturist. She's been my acupuncturist for years, and I highly respect her, and we've really grown closer through this venture together. But thank you all for coming. As Jackie said, I'm a holistic veterinarian. I've actually been practicing for over 20 years, believe it or not. Thank you for the young-looking comment.
Like a little girl, amazing.
And somewhere along the way, I really became more interested in helping to assist my patients to heal themselves and to assist them to maintain wellness and health. And that's really called preventative medicine, or assist them through natural healing. So when I found the products that LifeVantage has to offer, this was resonated with me immediately. The thing that I didn't realize that I was going to gain benefit from so much is that, of course, as a veterinarian, I've spent my career really getting to feel good about directly impacting the health of pets and animals. But one of the things this has added and has been extremely rewarding for me in the past 3 years that I've been working with these products and with this company is now I'm able to directly impact the health of people attached to my my human clients, attached to my patients, but also plenty of people outside of my practice. And that's been hugely rewarding for me. The other thing that I will say is I have a lot of training in nutrition and a lot of background in nutritional supplements, and I use that a lot in my practice. And one of the things that I can say too in working with these supplements for 3 years is that I have seen more positive change and effect with adding this single one thing than I've ever seen from adding any single one thing before. And I work with a lot of products. So this literally, for pets and for people, has risen to the top of my list as the most bang for the buck for a supplement. And you're going to hear from Dr. Mark why that is. And he's going to clearly take us through the science of the product. So that'll be great. The third thing, do I need to speak up?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I wasn't going to say it.
Thank you. The third thing, thank you, is that really has been a huge reward for me in my involvement with this in the last 3 years is the relationships that I've made, the people that I've met, like-minded people that really, really are, so vested in helping others and inspiring others to achieve better health and to achieve more happiness. So lots of incredible relationships with many of you out there, and that's been a really pleasurable thing for me as well. So thank you very much for that, everyone. So without further ado, let me go ahead and present our first speaker. Dr. Mark Gordon is a cardiologist. You do not need, by the way, you do not need to be a medical professional. It just so happens Jackie and Mark and I all are. You do not need to be awesome. A medical professional to share this information. Anyone can share this information. But we, of course, get all jazzed about hearing from a very credible resource, which Dr. Mark Gordon is. And you'll hear a little bit of why he's such a leader in this topic of oxidative stress. So let me tell you a little bit about Mark. Dr. Gordon is board-certified cardiologist with 20 years of experience in clinical cardiology. He completed his medical training at the University of Minnesota, has participated in multiple pharmaceutical and medical device trials as a clinical cardiologist. He served as governor for the state of South Dakota for the American College of Cardiology and was the director of medical education at the Avera Heart Hospital during his tenure there. Mark has always had an interest in preventative medicine, which I love, and has recently completed a fellowship in anti-aging and regenerative medicine through the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine and with the University of South Florida School of Medicine. He completed advanced training in the metabolic cardiology through Metabolic Medicine Institute through George Washington University School of Medicine, and Mark's passion for prevention has fueled his desire to pursue a preventative integrated cardiology clinic in the future. So that's his next endeavor. Dr. Mark actually currently also serves as a director on the medical advisory board for LifeVantage. So thank you so much for being with us here tonight and for sharing your knowledge. We're really appreciative.
We're excited. Woo!
Thank you guys so much. It's such a pleasure to be down here. I absolutely love San Diego. Oh my gosh, I don't know why anybody would ever leave this place. It's so perfect. It's absolutely wonderful. So this is like the third year in a row I've been down here about this time because I have, any of you guys ever hear of the Black Sheep? Of the Black Sheep are? Motorcycle Ministry. We've got our international convention up in Temecula starting tomorrow. So that's where I'll be for the next 3 or 4 days. So I come down here this time of year. And that's the reason for this and this. So I'm trying to look like a biker, not a cardiologist. So
Pam's probably really glad this day has arrived, right?
no. Pam does not like the facial hair.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So when you get home, it goes away.
Yes, it goes away. But so I got involved with this about 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago. I was not looking for a business opportunity, but as Katie said, I've always had an interest in prevention. And so I got a phone call from a complete stranger from Arizona, and she asked me to watch this ABC News investigative report that aired back in 2005, and we're going to watch that in a moment. And I watched it kind of reluctantly to kind of get her off my back so she'd stop calling me and following up and saying, have you watched it yet? But what happened was when I watched it, I was so intrigued because it was all positive. There were no negative gotcha moments in that video, in that ABC News report. And so what I did immediately after watching that is I went to the website called pubmed.gov, which is one that we always tell people to go to. They didn't need to tell me that because as a cardiologist, that was a site that I already went to on a regular basis to look up information about various and assorted cardiac conditions and treatments and so forth. And so when I went there, I typed in the term Protandim, and I found 7 published peer-reviewed scientific studies on this particular product. And I thought, wow, I've never seen that before. A branded supplement sold through a network marketing company, and look at all the science that they have behind it. And as I was reading the studies, I came upon a study that was published in the journal Circulation, which is the journal of the American College of Cardiology, or excuse me, the American Heart Association. And when I read that, I said to myself, okay guys, this is not snake oil, because the American Heart Association does not publish studies on snake oil. This is the real McCoy, and this is something that I need to get I need to get educated on. I want to get it in my own body. I want to get it in the bodies of the people that I care about. So I signed up at 2 o'clock in the morning to become a distributor in LifeVantage, never intending to do the business. I just wanted a whole bunch of product, okay? And I felt that this was the best way to do that, was to purchase this Vantage Pack thing, which was the biggest package that they had at the time. I got a whole bunch of product. I ordered additional product above and beyond that. And then the next day, I get this phone call from Maria Williams. Some of you guys know her from Arizona. And she had her business partners on the phone, Carrie Williams and Carrie Dickey. And they said, gee, Mark, welcome to the business. And I'm like, guys, thanks, but I'm here because of the product. I'm not here because of the business. And they were going on, and they finally figured out as a cardiologist, and the next thing out of Carrie Dickey's mouth was, well, gee, Mark, this is a Nerve2 activator. And I said, that's great. And I had no idea what a Nerve2 activator was. But I didn't tell her that at the time because I wanted her to think that I was kind of smart. So I figured, okay, I got to go figure out what a Nerve2 activator is. So I quickly went and did that and got that covered. Thank you.
Oh. The chalkboard.
Can you hear me better now? No? Is that better? No? Yes? Yes? No? Okay. So, I got so interested in this Nerve2 pathway.
Talk loud.
And the effect that it had on oxidative stress, that I dug into all the science that I could find on this, and I got so excited. But again, I was interested in the science, I was interested in the product, I was not interested in the business. And so 2 months into this, at the urging of Maria Williams and Carrie Williams, I went down here, actually to San Diego. This was kind of my start. they had their first Elite Academy that I attended down here in San Diego in January of 2011. I live in South Dakota. Why do you think we came to San Diego in January? I guarantee you it was not because I wanted to hear about how to build a business with LifeVantage, okay?
Testing, 1, 2.
Let me just hold it. Sorry. So I wasn't interested in learning how to build a business. I was interested in some sun and to get away from the snow and the cold in South Dakota. But after my wife and I completed we went through all of the course, went through the training and so forth, went through the seminars and that. There we go. I think we're doing better.
Oh.
We at the end of it, my wife and I decided that this is something that we could do as a plan B. So we went home. We started building this as a business. We started talking to everybody that we knew. We started doing meetings on a weekly basis, if not more often than that. And this thing just absolutely exploded. And I never in my wildest dreams would have thought 5 years ago that I would be standing up here and tell you that I was retired as a cardiologist and I'm doing network marketing full time. Because if my wife were here, she would tell you network marketing was not on our bucket list. Okay? But what I want to do, I'm just going to play a quick video to explain to you what this has done for our life.
Just the guys, just the fellas, come on, boys. Okay, man, one more time, come on, boys.
Okay, do you guys know who that was and where that was?
You on LSD.
That was Paul McCartney last night in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Oh,
Who in a million years would have thought that Paul McCartney would come to Sioux Falls, South Dakota?
Wow.
But here's the cool thing. 6 months ago, I wouldn't have been able to go to that concert because I would have been on call and I would have had a pager, and if that pager would have gone off, I would have had to go to the hospital to take care of some emergency. Last night, my 15-year-old daughter and I got to go to this concert.
Aww.
And she is an absolute Beatles maniac fan.
Aww.
And it was the most precious thing to be able to go to that concert with her last night. And had it not been for LifeVantage, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
And Mark, tell them how much call you've done over the last 20 years. This is crazy.
So Gary wanted me to share with you guys the amount of call that I've done in the last so many years. So I've been a cardiologist for 20 years, and between my cardiology practice and my training and so forth, I calculated out. And in the last 26 years, I've been on call basically every fourth night for 26 years. And that works out to 6.5 years of my life I spent tied to a pager. That as soon as it went off, I had to go to the hospital and take care of something. I'm free of that now.
And what did you do with your pager when you retired?
It's in the glove box of my car, and it's waiting to be blown apart by an AR-15.
That's what I was waiting for.
We are actually going to do that on May 18th. So
Oh, I've
we
been
will
waiting.
videotape that.
Periscope, baby.
We will. Absolutely. So what I want to start with here, guys, is the ABC News Investigative Report, which is what kind of started the whole thing for me. So this is going to be kind of an abbreviated version, but after we show that, I'll come up and I'll share with you kind of what has happened since that time, okay?
Edge on turning back the clock with just a few pills? Who doesn't? Well, it's no longer science fiction, but science possibility, a potential breakthrough. As I found out firsthand, there may be a way to erase years, at least inside my body. Granted, it's down the road, but some scientists are wondering if a new pill I took might offer a very long life. It may not look like the fountain of youth, but inside this nondescript building, I'm about to become part of an exciting experiment, a kind of guinea pig.
Dr. McCord, okay.
I'm here at the University of Colorado in Denver to meet Dr. Joe McCord, a world-renowned scientist.
This is a pretty exciting stuff you're finding, huh?
It is. We're very excited about it.
His latest research could very well unravel the mystery of aging itself. And his decades of experiments may have the potential of adding years to people's lives and possibly prevent chronic diseases like cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. It all centers around this small yellow pill, and for me, it begins with a blood test. They want to check my levels of something called T-bars, which is a rough indicator of a person's actual age. T-bars can identify a condition known as oxidative stress, a kind of measure of the wear and tear on our bodies. Oxidative stress, like the rusting of an engine, is not a good thing.
Bad for the body,
Leading to disease.
leading to disease and leading to malfunction, and importantly, leading to what we call aging. It is a slow progression of increasing oxidative stress. That's the main characteristic biochemically of the aging process.
For a long time, scientists thought that antioxidant vitamins like C and E would lower it, but they don't.
And it's turned out in just the last 5 years or so, we see that they're not good enough tools. They're not powerful enough.
But this pill, he says, is powerful enough. In fact, many times more powerful. With that swallow, I've just become part of a potentially landmark scientific experiment. It's called Protandim, and tests on both mice and humans have already shown that it revs up the manufacture of those good enzymes in our bodies. More enzymes, fewer free radicals to harm us. Whether that will lead to longer life is still unknown.
Right now, all we know is that this preparation decreases oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is not a disease, just like aging is not in itself a disease, but it's something that accompanies and is attached to many disease processes. So you can see the age-related.
Normally, oxidative stress, measured by those T-bars, increases with age. But in Dr. McCord's tests, taking just one pill of Protandim a day reversed that trend for everyone at every age, even for an 80-year-old.
They all are reduced to the level of oxidative stress that one would expect, frankly, in a newborn or a very young child.
Back to the oxidative stress levels of a child? It sounds too good to be true. Will Protandim work on me?
The scientific evidence is there. The pieces seem to make sense. The question is, does this translate into something that humans can take advantage of?
So, just what's in this seemingly incredible pill? Well, actually, its roots are very humble. Protandim is a combination of 5 plant ingredients. Some you may know: green tea or turmeric, a spice used in Indian cooking. Others, Withania somnifera and Silybum marianum, are more exotic.
There's a huge human experience with each of these ingredients. They've been used often in traditional medicine in India and China and many other cultures. In some cases, centuries and centuries.
And so, ancient Eastern healing and modern Western medicine may soon be working together. High oxidative stress is associated with more than aging. It's been linked to hundreds of illnesses.
It's at the very center of many diseases: liver disease, diabetes, emphysema, asthma. I studied all of these: strokes, heart attacks.
Even mental disease.
Yes,
Depression?
Alzheimer's disease, depression.
We make no claims about curing any disease or preventing any disease. We hope that when enough studies are done, perhaps such claims might be able to be made in the future.
But what about my progress? After nearly 2 weeks now, it's time to get my results. Dr. McCord calculates the numbers. The result? My level of oxidative stress has declined dramatically.
45%, that's excellent.
Just look at where I fall on the graph, before and after.
Which, if extrapolated back, is the level you would see in a newborn baby.
Have we turned back the clock? Well, maybe not on the outside, but deep inside within my cells. Yes, indeed.
Would you suggest they keep taking this supplement?
I would.
So how many people just saw that for the first time right now? Wow, that's amazing. So when I saw it for the first time, my first thought was this. I knew what oxidative stress did in the heart. I knew it was responsible for the development of atherosclerosis, congestive heart failure, a whole bunch of other problems. And I said to myself, oh my gosh, we don't have drugs that do what this stuff does. This is incredible. So with my scientific blinders on, I was looking with a very, very narrow focus that this was something that might be able to potentially help cardiac patients. But I didn't think about the bigger picture and the role that oxidative stress has in so many other different conditions, and how this could be something that could be beneficial for more than just that, and I'll go into that a little bit. So that was the first thing that went through my head, is this is something that I need to learn more about. I need to figure out how this stuff works. I need to know the mechanism of action, and that's when I got into the NRF2 thing. You know, for me as a physician, I had to understand the nitty-gritty, how this works on a biochemical or molecular basis. And that's where the NRF2 became so interesting for me. But let me tell you what happened after that thing aired. So back in 2005, the company was a small biotech company. They had a handful of researchers, a handful of office staff, and they weren't really set up for the success that they were about to experience as a result of the airing of that ABC News investigative report. So ABC came in, they aired that, and overnight they got orders for about $5 million worth of product. And the company was so small they couldn't manufacture it and distribute it fast enough, and so most of the orders went unfilled. So the other thing that happened is it's publicly traded. The stock went from $1 a share to over $20 a share overnight. And then over the next several months, when they couldn't fill the orders, the stock plummeted. It went down to 7 cents a share, and they almost went out of business because they couldn't manufacture the stuff fast enough. So they had this initial wave of interest because of the ABC News investigative report, and that waned as it only aired once, and people started to forget about it, especially when they didn't get their orders filled. So the board of directors said, we know we've got a great product here, we just have to figure out a way to get this stuff out to the public. So they hired a consultant. He came in from another nutraceutical company as their CEO, and he looked at the product, he looked at the research, he talked to the corporate people, and he went back to the board of directors with a recommendation of moving this out of online and retail sales into direct sales or network marketing. And his rationale was this. He said, guys, you've got a unique product. This unique product has a story that has to be told. And you need to get fired up people who know the story that can get out there and share it with the customers. Because if you put this on a store shelf in GNC or Rite Aid, which is what they were trying to do, and they were selling about a half a bottle per store per month, the product isn't going to sell itself. The product can't tell the story to the customer, and the people working in the store aren't going to be educated enough to be able to tell the customers what this stuff is and how it's fundamentally different than everything else out there. Because they were putting it on the store shelves next to vitamin E and vitamin C, which are direct antioxidants, and I'll explain to you the difference why this is nothing like that. And so the board of directors, after they heard the recommendation to move this into direct sales, they said, wait a minute, we don't like that marketing model. We think it's slimy. We don't like the people that go along with network marketing. It's just not for this product. This product is too important to be sold through that kind of a marketing channel. And the consultant said, look guys, what you're doing now is not working. You have to fundamentally change things or this isn't going to sell. And so reluctantly, the board of directors gave them the go-ahead to do an experiment for 6 months where they sold it online and in retail. And then they gave it to a handful of network marketing people, and they let them run with it. At the end of the 6-month trial, the network marketing group outsold the retail and online sales by 300%. So in May of 2009, they pulled it out of retail and online sales, and since then, it's only been available through network marketing distributors working with the company. So what happened from a financial perspective was this. In 2009, their last year in retail and online sales, they sold $3 million worth of product. Fast forward 5 years to 2014, and they sold over $200 million of product. And the only thing that fundamentally changed was their marketing model. And the reason why is because you take a product, you have a good result, you're going to tell your friends. You go to a movie, you like it, you tell your friends. So that's the beauty of this. It's like, word of mouth advertising is the best kind of advertising there can be, and that's exactly what we experience with this direct sales or network marketing approach. And furthermore, as you share it with people, the company starts to send you thank you checks. So when I initially signed up, I knew I was signing up as a distributor, but I had no intention of doing the business. I was only going to take the product myself and give it to my family. But the thought was going through the back of my mind ever so subtly. I said to myself, if I happen to share this with a couple of people down the road, maybe I'll make enough money to pay for my own product. That was my first thought. Okay, fast forward 5 years now, and I'm making more money doing this than I was as a cardiologist. So it's quite a contrast, right? So I didn't have a big enough picture of what this could be in the beginning, and it wasn't until I came down here to San Diego and met Carrie and Maria Williams and Carrie Dickey that I started to get a bigger picture of how big this thing could be. So that's kind of what happened with the company from their infancy until now. And then, but what really attracted me was the science, and that's what I want to spend some time talking about, because what we have here is unique. It's something that nobody else has in the pharmaceutical world or in the network marketing world. So this gentleman here, Dr. McCord, kind of the godfather of Protandim, so to speak, he is the one that put this whole thing together, and he won this award called the Elliott Cresson Medal. And because of that, that's why ABC went to do their investigative report. It was because of Dr. McCord. Originally, that's what the story was going to be. It wasn't going to be a story about Protandim, but when they heard about what Protandim was, the story morphed from a story about Dr. McCord and the Elliott Cresson Medal to a story about Protandim. So that's kind of a freak of fate that we wound up with that ABC News investigative report. But Dr. McCord discovered this enzyme called SOD, superoxide dismutase, back in 1969. He wrote his PhD thesis on the discovery of that enzyme. That was so important that was the reason why he got the Elliott Cresson Medal. This enzyme was recognized as the most potent scavenger of free radicals that had ever been found. Now I'll get into what free radicals are in a minute. But Dr. McCord knew that this enzyme, if you could find a way to get the body to make more of it, that you would have something that could literally treat hundreds of different health conditions. And so he set out on a course over 40 years to try to find something that would make the body make more of this enzyme. Now, some of you guys who are kind of scientifically inclined may be thinking in your head, why not just take a pill of SOD? Well, that's a good idea, but the problem is SOD is an enzyme, it's a protein, and when you take protein into your stomach, what happens is the stomach acid breaks down the protein and renders it useless. So you can't take a pill of SOD. You have to get the body to make more of it. And Dr. McCord knew that, and so he set out to try to find something that would do that. And he found some synthetic compounds, some drugs that worked, but they caused too many side effects. People couldn't take them. So then in the early 2000s, some gentlemen came to him and they started experimenting with plant-based compounds instead. They started with individual compounds, then they started putting them together. Long story short, they found that the 5 ingredients in Protandim put together in the right ratio, green tea, turmeric, milk thistle, ashwagandha, and bacopa, those 5 together caused an 18-fold or 1,800% enhancement in the effect. So it wasn't just additive, it was truly synergistic. And there's actually a video on YouTube about Dr. McCord talking about this where he says, we didn't expect this big of an effect. We expected it to be synergistic, but we never expected it to be an 1,800% increase. So it blew away even Dr. McCord. So what exactly is oxidative stress? For those of us in the medical world, we know what this is, we talk about it a lot. But for those of you that aren't in the medical world, you may not know what this is. So let me kind of bring it down to your level and explain what this is. Oxidative stress is rusting of the body from the inside out. Every day of our lives, we eat food, we burn that food as fuel, and then that gets turned into energy in the form of ATP. There are byproducts of this process called free radicals. These free radicals are toxic molecules that are created in the process of making energy. And you can think of them as waste or exhaust. But the problem with the free radicals is they cause damage to every part of our cells. And so they can damage the cell membranes, they can damage the mitochondria, they can damage the DNA. And when they damage the DNA, what happens? It causes mutations, and those mutations lead to cancer. Okay? That's how cancer gets started, it's mutations in the DNA. So when we're young, our bodies do a really good job at fighting the free radicals. Our bodies have a built-in antioxidant defense system where our own cells make these enzymes like SOD and catalase and glutathione and hundreds of others that go and neutralize those free radicals. And they get rid of them before they can cause damage to our cells. But as we age, after we get past the age of 20, our bodies progressively lose the ability to make those antioxidant enzymes. So we lose the ability to fight the free radicals. The free radicals do more and more damage. They lead to cellular aging, cellular stress. They lead to the whole aging process and ultimately all of the diseases associated with aging. Now, in addition to just eating food and creating free radicals that way, we live in a very toxic environment, and we have all of these additional things that lead to more free radical production. So when we are exposed to toxins in our environment, like in our food, you know, the stuff that they spray on our crops, the stuff that they inject the cattle with, all of those things increase free radical production. I was a cardiologist for 20 plus years. I was exposed to radiation every day of my practice in the cath lab doing coronary angiograms. One of the instructors in the anti-aging fellowship that I went through was a cardiologist. He was an interventional cardiologist. He was the most clean-living person you could ever come across. He only ate twigs and leaves and dirt and roots and bugs and nuts, okay? And he exercised, he ran marathons, he did all the right things, right? But he had a carotid ultrasound done, okay? And he had plaque in his left carotid and not in his right. And the reason for that, he believes, is when he's doing a coronary angiogram, I'm standing here as a doctor, the patient's laying here on the table, the x-ray machine is right here, it's always on the same time, always on the same side every time, and that x-ray machine was radiating his left carotid artery continuously for 30 years. And it was causing him to develop plaque in there. It wasn't because that he was living a bad lifestyle, it was because of his exposure to the radiation. And I worry about that too. I haven't gone in to get a carotid ultrasound because I'm too afraid to. I don't want to find out what's in there. But all of these other things also increase oxidative stress. We can't get around it, guys. The older you are, the more oxidative stress you have, the more damage is going on a regular basis to your cells, and that damage can lead to, ultimately, disease and ultimately death. Every organ system in your body is affected by oxidative stress, from the heart to the skin, kidneys, joints, lungs. The brain is particularly susceptible to oxidative stress. Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, there seems to be an epidemic of these things right now, and it's because of oxidative stress. Immune system problems, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, all of those types of things, atherosclerosis, macular degeneration, all sorts of things. So every organ system is affected by oxidative stress. Now, all of these diseases seem to be unrelated, right? I mean, what does rheumatoid arthritis have to do with myocardial infarction and heart attack? Nothing, right? Well, the thing that ties it all together, though, is this oxidative stress. That's the root cause. So as physicians, what we typically do is we treat things well after they're developed. Well after somebody has the disease, we put them on a drug to hopefully slow down things, right? What we're talking about is getting back to the root cause here, the oxidative stress, okay? And by doing so, we can impact potentially so many different things. And that's what gets me really excited from a preventive standpoint. So as I mentioned earlier, when I was first exposed to this, I did not know what this Nerf2 thing was, but I found out what it was very quickly. And let me explain to you what it is. It's a protein. It's in every cell in your body, and when it gets turned on or activated, its job is to go into the nucleus of the cell and turn on the genes that code for antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, antifibrotic proteins. So the net result is it reduces inflammation and oxidative stress by turning on this Nerf2 protein. So in the past, the way that we've tried to deal with the problem of oxidative stress is by taking antioxidant vitamins, things like vitamin E, vitamin C, beta-carotene, and so forth. Okay? But what we found over the last 10 to 15 years is those things, number one, don't do a very effective job, and number two, may actually be harmful. So one molecule of, say, vitamin E, for example, will neutralize one free radical, and then the process is over. One molecule of SOD can neutralize up to 1 million molecules of free radicals before it gets used up. So a molecule of SOD is literally 1 million times more potent than a molecule of vitamin E at neutralizing those free radicals. Now, protandim is not an antioxidant. It turns on the cell's own ability to make antioxidant enzymes, okay? So it revs up the production of these things like the SOD. Now, this antioxidant molecule is actually worse than what I just described because when this antioxidant neutralizes the free radical, it does so by donating an electron, and when it does that, it becomes a free radical itself. So if you have a whole bunch of vitamin E or vitamin C floating around in your system, and this process gets started, you set up a chain reaction where what you were taking as an antioxidant becomes a pro-oxidant. And so now we have studies over the last 10 to 15 years with tens of thousands of patients that show that taking high doses of these vitamin antioxidant supplements in some cases actually increases your risk of heart disease and cancer. It doesn't decrease it. We know it doesn't decrease it. So there's been a paradigm shift in our thinking about how to use antioxidants to reduce heart disease and cancer disease and the risk of cancer. And the paradigm shift has been, it's better to make your own antioxidants rather than to take them. Get your body to make its own antioxidant enzymes. So as I was learning this whole Nerf2 thing, I got really excited. And I said to myself, if this is such a big deal, there's got to be other people looking at this. And in fact, there are drug companies. They're developing synthetic drugs that are Nerf2 activators because they have begun to recognize the role that oxidative stress has in the development of all of those different diseases that I showed you on that slide that was all green. Okay? This is a list, a partial list of some of the companies and some of the universities that currently hold patents on synthetic Nerf2 activating compounds. Okay? This company right here is the only one that has one that's FDA approved right now. It's called Tecfidera for the treatment of multiple sclerosis. It's a great drug, 50% reduction in relapse rates of MS. All of these companies are jumping on the Nerf2 bandwagon. And the really cool thing is, we have with Protandim the most potent, doesn't matter if it's a drug or a nutritional supplement, the most potent activator of Nerf2 that's ever been studied. I have yet to see a study that shows anything that's more potent than Protandim as a Nerf2 activator. And Protandim is all natural, 5 plant-based ingredients. This is a study that came out about a year ago, a little over a year ago. Nerf2 may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventive breakthrough in the history of medicine.
Wow.
It doesn't get any better than that.
No.
I can't say it any more clearly than that. This is a big, big deal. Oregon State did some studies on Nerf2, and they have a great description of what Nerf2 does. It goes back to the cellular nucleus, rings the alarm bell where it can turn on up to 200 genes responsible for cell repair, detoxification of carcinogens. Let that sink in for a moment. Okay? Protein and lipid metabolism, antioxidant protection, and other actions. In the report, they called it the longevity assurance factor. There are animal studies that show that those animals that live the longest have the highest levels of Nerf2, and they also stay the healthiest the longest when they have high levels of Nerf2. So Protandim is our flagship product. clinically proven in humans to reduce oxidative stress 40% in 30 days on average. No other product on the market, drug or supplement, can make that claim. We can because we have the studies to back it up. If you don't believe me, go to PubMed.gov. We have 18 plus scientific peer-reviewed studies that you can look at and you can evaluate them for yourself. And that's exactly what I had to do. When I watched the ABC News investigative report, my interest was piqued. But I wasn't all in at that point. I wasn't all in until I read the studies, particularly the one from the American Heart Association. That was my epiphany moment. That's when I was all in. That's when I said, this is the real McCoy. This is something I need to get behind. Here's what's in it. Green tea, turmeric, milk thistle, ashwagandha, and bacopa. I don't care if you guys know what those things do. It's not important. What's important is the 5 together enhance the effect 1,800% or 18-fold. So you can see what each one of the individual ingredients do. I did a Skype meeting with an integrative physician near Los Angeles just yesterday, actually. He's going to start using this in his clinic. Why didn't you guys get to him? Why did I have to come from South Dakota to get this guy in Los Angeles?
Boom!
Carrie Dickey, why is he not in your business?
He is.
All that you Good boys. As I was having a conversation with this gentleman, he said, well, gee, I heard curcumin is a really good NRF2 activator. Well, here's curcumin by itself. It actually decreased the activity. Okay? So I don't know what he's reading, but he's reading the wrong stuff. But he did read this stuff on Protandim. He said, I'm all in. This stuff is amazing. I didn't realize there was something out there that was this potent at activating NRF2. He knew all about NRF2, but he didn't know about Protandim. We have to go educate the world about this. This is a big deal. This is a really big deal. That led to all of these patents that we have in the U.S. and around the world, 6 U.S. patents, 5 international patents. In my anti-aging fellowship program, 2 of the instructors talked about NRF2. Both of them said, this is the first time I've ever talked about NRF2, but you guys need to know about this because it's coming. It's going to be a really big deal, and you guys need to know about this. So here's what he said. NRF2 is a revolution in science and is the most important anti-aging pathway in the human body. Mind you, this is a guy who was the chief science officer of a nutraceutical company that was making a product based off of an ingredient called sulforaphane, which is the active ingredient in broccoli, which is a NRF2 activator, which is 1/6 to 1/7 as potent as Protandim at activating NRF2. I went up to him afterwards and I said, do you know about Protandim? And he said, well, gee, yeah, I've read their studies. They've got really good stuff. And he announced that to the entire class. And he said to the entire class, he said, if you guys are looking for something to activate NRF2, you should really take a look at Protandim. This is a guy that worked for a company that was selling a competing product. And he said, you guys need to go look at Protandim because it's the most potent NRF2 activator out there. That's incredible. One of my colleagues finished a functional medicine fellowship recently. She took her written exam about a month ago. She texted me after the exam and she said, Mark, you would not believe the number of questions that there were on NRF2 on this exam. And I said, that's funny, because when I talk to 99.9% of the physicians out there, they have no idea what NRF2 is. Okay? It's only in the preventive, integrative, functional medicine world that people have any idea what NRF2 is. If you go talk to a random doctor on the street, they're not going to know what this is. So every time I do a meeting like this, somebody inevitably comes up to me afterwards and says, well, I want to go talk to my doctor about this. And so here's what I say to that person. I say, here's what you ask your doctor. Ask your doctor to tell them all that they know, to tell you all that they know about NRF2. And if they look at you with the deer in the headlights look, what business do they have making a recommendation whether you should be taking a NRF2 activator if they can't even explain what a NRF2 activator
Amen.
is?
Yep.
So the company started with Protandim. The next product that came out was True Science, which is an anti-aging skincare cream, skincare system that's based off of Protandim. It's got all the same ingredients that are in Protandim as well as some others. Louisiana State University early on did 2 studies on Protandim, very profound said, this stuff has such amazing results in the skin, you guys need to develop. So we are blessed that Dr. Natalie Chevreau, the developer of a product called Strivectin. Anybody here of Strivectin?
Yeah.
Okay. She developed that product, the #1 anti-aging product in Europe for a number of years. She developed this system, and she said what we have here is light years ahead of what we had with Strivectin. It's what it does with the NRF2 activation. Canine Health came out shortly thereafter. People were giving their dogs Protandim. Dogs have higher levels of oxidative stress, and as a result, they age faster. They have a lot of the same conditions that humans get as they age as well. So people started giving their dogs Protandim, and they were seeing remarkable results. So the company capitalized on that and developed Canine Health, a doggy version of Protandim. It also has collagen and omega-3 fatty acids in it. Now, oftentimes when I talk to people about Protandim, they kind of get the, this is one of those things, and I don't know that I want to do one of those things. But gee, let me try that stuff for my dog. So they give their tripled up dog Canine Health, and 2 weeks later they call you and they say, Fido is doing really well. Did you say they make that stuff for humans too? Because I think I'm going to try it. I've had that happen. Pardon? Yeah. Yeah. They have to see the results in their own pet before they'll believe that it can work in them. So these are just some examples. So the True Science anti-aging system actually causes healing and regeneration of the skin. And we've got all the pathological studies that prove that. If you need to see that for your own edification, we can show you that. But I mean, this is just a very common example of what happens. Look at the difference in the wrinkles underneath your eyes. Now, we also have a product called MicroLift, which is more of a cosmetic product. This is more of a cover-up. Photoshop on the tip of your finger, or as one of my construction worker friends said, spackle for the face. Look what it does. I mean, if you're going out on a date, you're going to your class reunion, look at this. I mean, it causes that tightening of the bags underneath the eyes, fills in the wrinkles. She looks remarkable. This stuff really, really works. Canine Health, we talked about. Axio. Axio is their energy drink. I hate that term. I call it brain food. Yes. Because when I think of an energy drink, what I think of is Red Bull, Rockstar, 5-Hour Energy, Monster. We had these guys working on our deck the last couple of months, and I found all of these Monster cans laying around. They're like this big. Have you seen those things? You know how bad those are? I see the results of that when the patients show up in the ER with palpitations because of drinking these energy drinks. Has anybody ever had that happen to them? I did. I was at Sturgis. This was about 5 years ago. I've never had an energy drink in my entire life. And anybody been to Sturgis? You know about Wyoming Wednesday?
No, we're Californians.
Okay. Hewlett, Wyoming, which is where Devil's Tower is, they have a big, what they call the Ham and Jam on the Wednesday during the rally week. It's also called No Panty Wednesday. You can figure that out for yourself. But
I missed it.
But the Red Bull people were there, and they were giving out free Red Bull samples. So I said, I've never had one. I'll try one. So I drank it. And a half an hour later, I'm riding my motorcycle on these sweeping curves in the Black Hills, and all of a sudden, I think I went into atrial fibrillation.
You had to go to a cardiologist.
I did.
I know.
Myself. I said, I hope I don't pass out and crash my motorcycle. But I didn't. So anyway, I was concerned when the company just said they were coming out with an energy drink, but this isn't that kind of energy drink. This is brain food, okay? And this is the reason why. If you look at the ingredients, pine bark, L-theanine, green tea, caffeine in one but not the other, DMAE, magnesium, quercetin, and B vitamins. The ingredients were chosen to try to address the root cause of why people are reaching for an energy drink. Is it because of depressed mood, lack of concentration, that mental fog or fatigue? So what I noticed when I started drinking this while I was still practicing is at the end of the day when I had a stack of patient charts that I had to go through, enter stuff in the computer, dictate notes, it was the most tedious, time-consuming, boring task that I had to deal with, and I hated it. And it would take me forever to do it. But when I was drinking this stuff, I was laser focused and I would get the job done. And one of my distributors back in South Dakota calls this the get the stuff done drink. And it really does. It's good stuff. You need to try it. Physique is a weight management system, foreign products, probiotic, protein shake, fat burn, and cleanse. This study will be etched in your memory forever. Why a probiotic? Okay. These rats were fed controlled chow or fast food chow, which I think was like ground up McDonald's French fries that they put in little pellets. I don't know.
That's terrible.
Half of them got a probiotic, Lactobacillus reuteri. Look at what happened. The ones that got the probiotic didn't get fat. Why is that? Probiotics are bacteria that are in your gut. You have to have them there. There's good and there's bad. There's good and bad bacteria in your gut. You want the good ones. You want to get rid of the bad ones. If you have the bad ones, you have more disease, more inflammation, and so forth. There's a project going on at the National Institutes of Health right now called the Human Microbiome Project. Okay. What ones do the good things? What ones do the bad things? This was one of those studies, and what they. You know, bacteria are living organisms. They make proteins that they secrete. And where do they secrete them? Into your intestinal tract. And these proteins do things, okay? Well, this particular bacteria secretes a protein that helps break down fats and sugars before they get absorbed through your intestines. And that's why these animals didn't get fat. So who wants to take a probiotic now? Absolutely. Now, the fat burn. There's a fat burn product that we have. 2 ingredients, Sinotrol and Svetol. Sinotrol is made to get rid of the abdominal fat, that toxic belly fat that's around the middle, that's around your organs. That's the stuff that increases inflammation, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and so forth. In their study before they released this, they found about a 200% reduction in abdominal fat using this stuff versus placebo. This stuff really works. One of the problems with losing weight is typically people lose muscle mass along with the fat. The Svetol helps to maintain the muscle mass. So we got both things going for us. The Sinotrol makes you lose that belly fat. The Svetol helps you maintain the muscle mass. And here's the results. These are both 30 days, okay? Yeah, can you believe that? So it looks like this guy should be down more than 21 pounds. Yeah. But you guys have seen the picture of 5 pounds of fat, 5 pounds of muscle, right? The fat takes up more space, it's less dense, okay? So when you're losing that, you're shrinking more so than your weight is coming down. But that's okay because they're maintaining the muscle mass. And look at this woman. I mean, that's remarkable. You know, she had a kind of a bit of a muffin top here, and it is completely gone, right? I'm sure she's pleased as punch. She's smiling from ear to ear in this picture, and she's smiling from ear to ear in this picture. You'd think that her smile would be bigger over here. I don't know why, but she just must be a happy person. Okay, we've got something really big coming. May 17th. Are you guys having a launch party here in San Diego?
Yes.
We are having a big launch party in Sioux Falls, and we're going to I challenge you guys to have more people here in San Diego than we have in Sioux Falls. Now, mind you, the population in Sioux Falls is 180,000. What's the population here in San Diego? Okay. You guys can beat Sioux Falls as far as the number of people at the launch. That's the challenge that I have for you. Okay? And I'll put a little wager on it if anybody wants. Stu, where's Stu? Stewie, let's put a wager on this.
Where is he?
He's outside. He's hiding.
We have a Nerf, the first ever Nerf 1 activating product coming out on the market, May 17th. Why is this a big deal? I told you about Nerf 2, what it does. Nerf 1 is a little bit different. It does some of the same things that Nerf 2 does, but the big thing that Nerf 1 does is it activates, increases the function of, and increases the number of mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of the cells. They're what are responsible for producing energy, giving you energy. They're responsible for muscle function, brain function, and so forth. And this is going to be a blockbuster product. And I anticipate that this thing could launch us into this thing that we call momentum. And what is that? In the early stages of a company or a technology, you have the innovators. You have the Dr. McCords. the people that get that information and that technology out there. Then you have the early adopters. Everybody in this room is an early adopter. You're hearing about it before the masses. And then you hit this point called critical mass, where everybody starts to hear about it, everybody gets on board, the early majority gets in, and that's when momentum hits. I think for this company, this is only my personal opinion, I don't know if anybody else agrees with me, I think the Nerf 1 product could launch us into momentum.
Amen.
Okay? Then, after a run of maybe 2 years or so, we have stabilization where it kind of levels out. The late majority gets in, and then the physicians get in out here.
The laggards.
If ever.
Eric Worre was at our convention last October in Phoenix, and he said from stage that he believes that LifeVantage is the one company that can double or triple their revenues in the next 18 months. And I think that with what we've got with our Nerf 2 product, the explosion of research that's going on with regard to Nerf 2, the pharmaceutical companies that are jumping on board, and now with the launch of the Nerf 1 product, I think he's right on track. I think that we're in line to do that. So what I am going to do now is we have a very, very special guest. Pro 10, Master Pro 10, Gordon Dickey. Is he around back there? Or did he leave too? Am I here to do this by myself? Mr. Gordon Dickey, are you there?
He's wearing a salmon shirt. Get him.
All right. Well, while somebody's getting him and bringing him in here, I'll get through this. So there's 2 ways that you can get involved with this company. You can become either a preferred customer or a distributor. We love our preferred customers. They make up 80 to 90% of the business of the company. And what preferred customers do is they purchase product, they use product, they get it for the same price as distributors. So the difference between a preferred customer and a distributor is this. A preferred customer is a product user, and a distributor is a product user that gets paid. Which would you rather be? No, seriously. I mean, so when I first signed up, I signed up as a distributor, never intending to do the business, but in the back of my mind I said, well, if I get a couple of people that signed up, maybe I'll get my product for free. Well, as things kind of progressed, then I developed what we call FOMO. Anybody know what FOMO is? Fear of missing out. So here's what happened. I started to educate myself on Nerf 2, and I said, wow, this is going to be big. With what I know about Nerf 2 and how big I think it's going to be, if I sit on this information and do nothing with it, I am going to be kicking myself in 2 to 3 years that I chose to do nothing as I watch other people surpass me and become successful in this. So that FOMO, that fear of missing out, is one of the big things that prompted me to get my butt in gear and do this and start taking this seriously and run like the wind with it as a business opportunity. So to become a distributor, there's 3 options. There's the Platinum Pack, the Vantage Pack, and the Freedom Pack. You can see the difference in price, $300, $600, $1,200. I never recommend the Freedom Pack, and I'll tell you why. When you sign up on the Freedom Pack, you leave money on the table as you sign up other distributors, and I don't want people to leave money on the table. So this was really designed for people who just don't have enough money to get in, but they really want to be a distributor. This is for people who want to dip their toe in the water, okay? The Vantage Pack and the Platinum Pack, there's no difference in the compensation plan. The only difference is the amount of product. With the Freedom Pack, there's about $200 worth of product. The Vantage Pack, about $500. The Platinum Pack, about $1,100. So there's about $100 of money at risk, so to speak. But with that, you get business building materials. The company sets up and maintains a website for you. And so in my mind, what I was thinking when I signed up was, well, so $100 at risk, you know, what's the big deal? I've wasted $100 on a lot stupider things than this. Worst case scenario, I signed up as a distributor. I've got 6 months worth of product. I use the product, and I'm out $100 because I didn't do anything with it. But I would challenge you, if you sign up as a distributor, you need to take the bull by the horn and run with this, because you've got one opportunity to do this. And I'm going to have Gordon Dickey explain to you why the world is changing and why this type of opportunity is something that everybody should take a look at. So, my good friend, automotive engineer who fixed the convertible top on my rental car that I couldn't get to go down. I had to get an automotive engineer to do that, but he has a lot of other very insightful things from a corporate standpoint that he's going to show you. So,
Thanks, Denny. Wonderful job.
Woo!
Can you all hear me? Can we all hear me?
Yeah, because that thing needs to go.
Control.
Oh, honey, that thing should go.
Hi, can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, you get.
Yeah,
We need a light, too.
Just briefly, I'm not going to take much of your time, but my background is simple. You can tell I'm from San Clemente, California, by the accent. Actually, I've got a couple of things going. I'm actually Scottish, and I'm also an engineer, mechanical engineer by profession. And why that's important, because all those people in network marketing are entrepreneurial people. It's a nightmare for you all, because that's the Scottish skeptic, cynic movement. One of the things that I liked doing in my previous job was to travel globally and drive cars globally in each market. That's what I like to do. What I didn't like was I was always away from home, and therefore never didn't see my boys. Although the more I'm home now seeing my boys, I think I might
Get back
go
on
back
the
to work. And then obviously time freedom's a big thing. So what did I do for a living? I'm a 35-year plus corporate executive for car companies, and I was a vice president research and development for the car companies on the board of directors at Ford and Mazda. And why I'm mentioning that is people think when you build cars for a living, Ford, Jaguar, Maserati, Ferrari, whatever car I'm building, it sounds fantastic, but there's actually a lot of thought process goes in behind the building of car. Not to, at least this is the process. But one of the big things we look at is what's the political situation of the country you're building the car for, what's the economic situation, and what's the stability of the country, because we take about 18 months to 3 years to build a car. So we've got to know when the automobile comes to market, what does the market look like? Well, there's some alarming trends going on in North America and Europe right now, particularly Western Europe and the Americas. My territory was actually Asia Pacific, the Americas and Western Europe. That was my territory to build cars. What's happening is the corporate structure as I knew it, and quite frankly, the business model that I was only believed in was the corporate business model. That was the only model I was taught on. It's the only model I ever knew. So therefore, when someone mentioned entrepreneurialism or multi-level marketing, I thought they're drinking the Kool-Aid somewhere. So I had no idea whatsoever what it meant. But let me give you some statistics right now. We talk about environments and what we're doing right now. I needn't tell you, although maybe you don't know, here's some statistics that might at least make you aware of what's happening in corporate America right now. As Trump's already mentioned, whether you like him or dislike him, I've been involved in building plants in other parts of the world, particularly Mexico, Korea, China, and the likes. Why is Ford and GM these guys building there? It means that they're going to build cars cheaper, and that means that the workforce in America is not going to get the build. So, for example, Ford's building a $5 billion plant in Mexico right now. But they're not unique. Kia, Hyundai, Volkswagen, I could name all the car companies. They're all building cars outside America and shipping the cars into America. Why that's relevant? That means we're not manufacturing. That means our manufacturing base is eroding. While car sales made record 17 million car sales last year, we didn't build them. We had them built elsewhere and brought in. Let me give some shattering statistics. Walmart, 269 stores closing, including 154 in the US. Kmart, closing more than 24 stores. JCPenney, 40 stores, 47 come down. The Gap is in process of closing 175. Aerospital, 84. Sears, shut down 600 stores and still declining and looking to shut down more. Economic recovery, question mark. The numbers that the politicians are talking about right now is about 5%. If your economic unemployment rates are around 3 to 5%, it's a fairly healthy economy. And again, that's what we've got to do when we build cars, is forecast economy, forecast fuel costs, forecast the political situation when you build a vehicle. It says right now the 3 to 5% range, and they're saying in America it's 5%. It's not true. Our 5% unemployment rate is actually around 12%. The reason it looks at 5% is they include anyone who's looking for a job in the last 4 weeks, and also include part-time workers. We've got a son, 19 years old. He tried to get a job at Target, tried to get a job at all these places are laying off, and if he's successful in getting a job, they'll only hire for about 20 hours. Why is there a threshold? Obamacare kicks in, therefore the companies don't want to pay Obamacare. So that's the economic situation. One more alarming statistic, if it doesn't concern you, it really should. We all bailed out GM and Chrysler. That's what we all did. We, as paying citizens of America, budgeted GM and Chrysler. GM announced 2 years ago that 80% of the budget is going to China. 80%. GM just announced only last month they will be importing Buicks from China into America. If that doesn't shock you, it really should shock you. We're going to build cars in China, SUVs for the North American market. That is disgraceful. So here's another little trend that's happening. 5 warning signs of the US auto industry. This is just last month. 1, we're in negative equity, meaning people are driving cars in the market today that they can't afford, and they're upside down in their loan. So if they had to bail out, they're upside down in it. Subprime is rising again, meaning if you want to borrow money again, we're getting it easier on a subprime loan, and therefore we're risking more when we go subprime. The default's higher. Millennials don't care about cars. They're actually thinking they'd rather have a driverless car or a Uber, but they don't care about cars. Fleet sales are up, which means that the car companies are dumping more cars into fleet sales, Hertz, Avis, rental cars, so they can put them through as used cars. And last but not least is that the loan lengths are getting longer. All those trends are warning indicators that the US economy is not as buoyant as people try and tell you it is. And again, the only suggestion I'm making here, and it's my message really, to me, is that the business model that I grew up on, the corporate America, corporate Europe, corporate Asia, is not working any longer. If you can build an iPhone for $12 in China, then when we're paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and people are jumping off buildings in China because of it, we've really got to rethink our thinking. Does your corporate America work for you? That's the only thing I'd like you to ponder. I couldn't get my head around the business model. It took me years to understand this thing called entrepreneurialism. It took me even longer to accept the fact that multi-level marketing is the new trend. And one thing I should mention back about in USA Today, back in 7 years ago, they polled people asking, are you looking at an alternative income? At that time, 49% were looking at alternate methods of making an income. And at that time, it was entrepreneurialism. That's shifted now to the 57%. So you're in the right place, the right time, for an alternate idea of a different business model that you might not be used to. When someone mentioned to me multi-level marketing, pyramid, now when someone asks me that question, I go back to what does a pyramid mean to you? And then I quickly draw the pyramid, because I used to work for a guy called Bill Ford. I know I'm not getting any more money than him. And then below him there's a CEO. I'm not getting any more money than him. I know there's a CFO and I'm not getting any more money than him. And then there's another VP of sales. I ain't getting any more money. I'm the VP of R&D. This business model is different because you can start here and you can jump. You can climb higher as much as you want to climb, as long as whatever your why is. Is it rent? Is it a car? Is it whatever it is? That's a pyramid's the corporate America for you. This is not a pyramid. So that's one of the other things. So with that, I am completely done, and I hope that's answered your
One of the things that I did, so I was on this journey, and you've heard the saying, dig the well before you're thirsty. Well, I would say Noah built the ark before it started raining, right? So you guys might not be in a position right now where financially you're struggling. I wasn't struggling financially when this opportunity was brought to me. But what I was struggling with was my ability to spend time with my family. And what LifeVantage did was gave me the ability to do that. So everybody comes to this with a different thing on their plate. Everybody's got stuff going on in their life. I don't know what your stuff is, but if you think that there's a way that this might help alleviate some of your stress, be it financial, time with your family, whatever, you owe it to yourself to take a look at this, because this is an answer for a lot of people. It's not for everybody, but it has helped a lot of people. The other thing that I'm just going to do, and Carrie didn't put me up to this, Gordon didn't put me up to this. If you haven't gotten this book, you have to get this book. I started reading this on the plane flight down from Sioux Falls today. I'm halfway through it. Here's where I'm at, so almost exactly halfway. First 8 chapters, and I feel incompetent as a network marketer after reading this, because we have the master right here, Carrie Dick.
It's so fun to see you. I just wanted to tell you that I heard there was this guy up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and he was a doctor. I mean, I couldn't even talk after we found out that day that he was a cardiologist. I'm like,
you told me it was Nerf too.
Was the first, I know, but it was literally the first time that Maria, Carrie, and I were silent for like a minute. We didn't even know what to say when we found out there was a cardiologist on the line. And they said, you know, this guy is amazing and he's serious after that elite academy, and you need to go up to South Dakota. And I'm like, South Dakota, where is South Dakota? I couldn't even remember, like I had a general idea, but when I found out how far north it was January. I'm like, don't you think we should just wait for the thaw? I mean, that's cold up there, you know, I don't even own a coat. So we really put some high parameters in place, some high tripwires, and asked Mark, you got to do this, you got to do that. Some of it didn't even involve Mark. Like, he had to get someone to come into town, and we just gave him everything. I said, we just need to wait till June. He did everything. Check. And I remember calling him. He signed a bunch of people up at $50. You know, if you're in the room, you know that if you sign people up for $50, they're not going to be successful. And I called him one day and I said, listen, you know, you're a cardiologist, like you're a doctor. And if I've got heart issues, I'm coming to you. But I am a professional network marketer, and you can't be signing people up for $50, and I'm going to have to come up there with some wet noodles. And I'm going to have to beat you down a little bit. And I was kind of trying to blow him out a little bit just to see what I was dealing with. And he started laughing. And I'll tell you what, I have never, ever seen a better student. You know, a lot of times people have ego when they're in the medical profession. And I just think Mark is amazing. And people are tripping out on your Periscope. They're like, where can we get this? They're freaking out. So it was a great presentation. And I just want to tell you, you know, my background isn't quite as stellar. I was a waitress, a fitness instructor, a personal trainer. I was a bartender. Graduated from the University of Colorado with a degree in advertising, and all I ever knew was what I didn't want to do. I had no idea what I did want to do. And, you know, it's kind of a long journey, a very long journey, but I'm so grateful for an industry, a place, a profession, where an average person with above average passion, tenacity, and a really, really stellar work ethic can achieve remarkable results. So I just want y'all to know that that it's possible. And there are some people in here that are earning some very, very fine incomes. I don't know if you have an income disclosure statement, but
I do.
You do?
I do.
Yes. I just really want to do that really quick because I think it's important. And you know what? My book that I wrote, Network Marketing: The View from Venus, if I felt that I wrote that book, I probably couldn't talk about it, honestly. But it's been my dream my entire life to be able to download my brain into that of people that really, really want this industry, that want this profession. And I felt like the thing that I can truly take credit for is sitting down every morning from November 3rd, 2014 to February 26, 2015. I sat down for about 4 months, and for an hour each morning, that book was channeled. You know, it was just given to me. Some of you'll know exactly what that means. You sit there to paint, and you just get it. And so it is something I'm very, very proud of having sat down. Have you said that, if I said that right, having sat down to write, and I believe truly in my heart and soul that it will help you. I haven't even read chapter 9 yet. You're toast after chapter 9.
I was toast after the first chapter.
Hugh Brody is a very dear friend of mine, 25 years. He's the guy that sent me the video. He's killing me. Dewey's my business husband.
Oh my God, these people have been here all night. Let them go. Let my people go.
No, just a minute. Let him go. Turn around and say hi to everybody. Isn't he cute?
Hi.
And there's his cute wife. Isn't she adorable back there? Can you tell him something about why this industry? What did you used to do?
What did I used to do?
You ran a $100 million division of a bank.
Okay.
What else did you do?
I was a cop. I owned my own businesses. You know, like Warren Buffett said, he was doing, his investor conference the other day. Everybody knows who Warren Buffett is, right? And he was saying one of the best choices that I made was working for myself. And that's kind of how I feel here, is that, working for yourself is really the best thing to do. You don't have any employer or anything. And I've been in the industry, for 28 years now, off and on. And, here you've got a $40 product with patents. Nobody else has it. You have no competition. Everybody needs it. I mean, it's like simple. It's really simple. We say it's not easy, but it's simple, because all you're doing is showing a video. You're not trying to convince anybody of anything. You're looking for a light bulb to go on in somebody's head that's looking for more out of life. I mean, let's face it. It's tough out there working. And the economy, like Gordon was saying, I'm sure, I didn't see him, but I was outside, but I'm sure he said this. Right? I know what Gordon says. I'm her other husband. I know what he said something like, he talked about the disposition of employment in the United States and what's happening. Not only going overseas, but companies going out of business. And it's going to happen more and more. And so this is just plan B. It's just a way. And I never expected what happened to happen. I was looking for a product. I've had 3 bouts of skin cancer. I've had topical chemotherapy. I wear a hat all the time because I've got to, except not at night. But now my head gets cold, so I wear a hat.
You live in San Diego. How can your head get cold?
It gets cold at night here.
I'll just tell you this. Just think about your life over the last 5 years, and I just say, are you better off today than you were before? And if the answer is not quite, then it's time to make a change. And change is tough, but you got a family here. People love each other. We're helping everybody. We're lifting everybody up, and it's just an incredible, incredible product. So that's all I have to say. Now go home. No.
So if you look at the Pro 9 here, here's the monthly average. I'm a Pro 9. I'm a little above average, but Stu is way above average. Okay, because Stu is the one that enrolled. Master Pro 10 carry.
Well, it's kind of crazy. So anyway, our average income at Pro 10, I'm finally way above average, $82,000 a month. So, you know what? I'm telling you what, that shocks me. And you guys know I still drive a Mazda. I was like, man, you really ought to drive that Jeep tonight. Oh, this is on Periscope. I'm going to look really bad. But listen, I'm married to a Scotsman. He doesn't like paying that money per gallon to drive. Sorry, honey. I don't know what to say. It's true. It's absolutely true. We are very, very
frugal.
No, I'm not. No, Gordon wouldn't say I'm frugal. I don't know. Responsible. He's Scottish. I'm just. I just don't want to fight about bringing the Jeep. So, anyway, listen, this is real. I'm excited to be here. I've missed you guys. I really do. I'm going to come down here and do an opportunity meeting one night. That kind of got me fired up. We're excited. We're excited to be here. It's a little bit longer than usual, but the good doctor, you just can't shut him up. I'm telling you.
I got to end with one thing. So
okay,
people talk about this being a pyramid scheme. So about 5 years ago, our hospital kind of restructured everything, and our medical practice was going to be soaked up by the hospital, right? So I walked into the CEO's office one day for a totally different thing and said, hey Mark, come here, I want to show you something. I want to show you the new structural chart of the hospital, how it's going to be set up. And I looked at it, and he's showing me all this stuff, and I studied it for about 30 seconds, and I looked up and I said, John, looks like a pyramid scheme to me. And He knew I was involved with LifeVantage at the time, and he kind of had this snarled look on his face, and I walked out of the room, and he didn't say anything to me. So, there are pyramid schemes out there. Don't become involved with one. This isn't one. Okay? All right, thank you, guys.
Oh.